I knew something was wrong the second I saw the ultrasound. Emma was glowing, laughing, completely unaware that the picture she handed me wasn't a baby at all. And the moment I realized what it truly was, my entire world tilted. My name is Amanda, and I've spent the last 14 years working as a radiologist in Colorado. I've looked at tens of thousands of scans in my life, babies, tumors, fractures, everything you can imagine. But nothing prepared me for the moment my own sister handed me a picture that would rip a hole straight through her life. The gender reveal was happening in my parents' suburban backyard. It was warm, cozy, pink and blue paper lanterns in the trees, a table full of my mom's homemade cupcakes, and country music playing softly from a speaker near the grill. My dad kept adjusting the bows on the balloon arch like the entire world depended on it. Everyone was smiling. Everyone was excited. The air smelled like barbecue and frosting. It should have been a perfect day. Emma looked beautiful. She was wearing this pale blue sundress that fluttered when the breeze hit her. At 26, she was the baby of the family, the one everyone adored, protected, spoiled without even realizing it. And honestly, I never minded that. I loved her. I still do. She floated through the yard collecting hugs, accepting gifts, laughing with relatives we barely saw anymore. Her husband Ethan stood beside her, beaming with that nervous, overwhelmed joy first-time fathers often have. When she finally reached me, she hugged me tight and whispered, "I saved the ultrasound for you. I wanted you to see it first." And for a moment, just a moment, my heart softened. Maybe this would bring us closer again. Maybe the sharp edges between us could dull. She pulled out a glossy print from her bag. She placed it into my hands with pride blooming all over her face. "Look," she whispered. "Isn't she perfect?" I smiled back automatically, but the second my eyes dropped to the image, the smile froze. Because what I saw was not a baby. And my breath left my body so fast it hurt. Before I continue, if you've ever been the one voice of reason no one wanted to hear, hit like and tell me where you're watching from. You're not alone. Emma and I were never the same. She was sunshine, emotional, expressive, adored. I was structure, calm, serious, the responsible one. Growing up, she called me a know-it-all whenever she didn't like what I said. My mother would always step in with the same soft, apologetic voice. "Amanda, sweetheart, you know how sensitive Emma is. Just try to be gentle." Translation: don't upset your sister. Don't correct her. Don't challenge her. And I didn't, because I loved her too much to be another person who disappointed her. But that dynamic carried into adulthood. Whenever Emma struggled, I was expected to be the fixer. Whenever I gave advice, she took it as criticism. So I learned to stay quiet. But that day, I couldn't. Because the ultrasound wasn't just off, it was dangerous. The mass in the picture was large, dense, irregular. A textbook red flag. A professional nightmare. My stomach twisted. I blinked 3 times, prayed I was imagining it. But the more I stared, the more certain I became. This wasn't a fetus. This was something else entirely. A tumor. A large one. My throat closed. The sounds of the party blurred into static. I lifted my head, and Emma's hopeful eyes hooked into mine. "Amanda," she asked. "What do you think? Do you see her? Ethan thinks she looks like him." Her innocence crushed me. And with every heartbeat, dread climbed higher in my chest. "Emma, where did you get this ultrasound done?" I asked softly. She frowned. "What? Why?" My voice shook. Just tell me. She rolled her eyes. Some boutique place downtown. Honey Bump Imaging. Why? Honey Bump. A so-called keepsake ultrasound studio. Non-diagnostic. Not legally allowed to give medical interpretations. My pulse spiked. Because a place like that shouldn't be giving pregnancy confirmations at all. And Emma, sweet, trusting, hopeful Emma, never questioned it. She pulled the ultrasound back as though I might steal it. What's wrong? You're scaring me. I swallowed hard. I need to talk to you and Ethan alone. Right now. But instead of listening, she stiffened. Then, loudly, publicly, she said, Amanda, don't start. Not today. I'm not letting you ruin this. Heads turned. My parents stared. And Emma's cheeks flushed with anger. I whispered, Emma, it's serious. I'm asking you as your sister. But she stepped back. No. You're doing it again. Acting like you're smarter than everyone. Acting like my choices are stupid. Her words were sharp enough to pierce bone. People were watching, whispering, taking second glances at me like I was the problem. My mother stormed to her side. Amanda, please. Not today. And the humiliation hit me like a slap. My sister was in danger, and no one wanted to hear it. I did the only thing I could. I turned to Ethan. The only person in the yard who looked truly concerned. Ethan, I said quietly. Come with me. Now. He followed. And with a shaking voice, I told him. That ultrasound doesn't show a baby. His face drained color. What do you mean? He whispered. There's no fetus. It's a mass. She needs to go to the hospital. Immediately. Ethan didn't hesitate. He didn't argue. He didn't protect Emma's pride over her safety. He simply said, let's go. That was the moment everything changed. If you're still here, make sure you subscribe. Stories like mine, they deserve to be heard. And you never know who you might help. We didn't tell Emma everything in the car. We didn't have to, she could see the panic written all over our faces. She kept asking, what's happening? Why aren't you telling me? Is the baby okay? Every question shattered another piece of me. I held her hand. Emma, just breathe. We're taking care of you. But she yanked her hand away. No. Tell me what's wrong. Amanda, tell me right now. Her voice vibrated between fury and fear. Ethan tried. Honey. Amanda noticed something in the ultrasound and Emma cut him off with a scream. Why did you listen to her? Why? She's not my doctor. This is my baby. We saw her heartbeat. I closed my eyes. There was no heartbeat. There never had been. Her boutique ultrasound studio had probably shown her a pre-recorded loop, a tactic some unlicensed places use to upsell photos and videos. I'd heard rumors of it. Never thought I'd see it so close. Never thought it would be my sister. When we arrived at the hospital, Emma refused to get out of the car. She locked the doors, shaking, sobbing, screaming at us. You two hate me. You've always hated me. You're trying to take this from me. People walking by stared. I'd never felt so helpless. Finally, Ethan reached through the window and unlocked it. He scooped her into his arms, whispering, I love you. I need you safe. Inside, the team moved quickly. Ultrasound. blood work. A full exam. And the longer it went on, the quieter Emma became. She stared at the ceiling while tears slipped silently down her cheeks. I stayed in the hallway, feeling like a ghost. After what felt like hours, a doctor came out. Her expression was soft but heavy. "Amanda?" she asked. I nodded. "We're taking her into emergency surgery." My heart sank. "How bad?" "It's a large ovarian mass," she said. "We believe it's benign, but it's causing internal complications. It needs to come out now." I whispered, "Is she going to make it?" The doctor squeezed my hand. "We're doing everything to ensure she does." Emma survived the surgery. Thank God. But when she opened her eyes, the first word she spoke was, "Where's my baby?" Ethan choked on a sob. "Honey, there was no baby." Emma stared at him, then at me. Then she broke. "You lied to me," she whispered. "Both of you." My chest collapsed. "Emma." She pointed her finger at me. Her voice rising. Sharp. Broken. "This is your fault, Amanda. You always think you know better. You couldn't let me have this. You couldn't let me be happy." I shook my head desperately. "Emma, I saved your life." But she didn't hear me. She screamed, truly screamed, until nurses rushed in. Security gently asked me to step out of the room for her emotional safety. I walked into the waiting room, shaking. My mother approached, her eyes blazing. "How dare you confront her at her party like that? Do you know the scene you caused?" I blinked. "Mom." "I saved her." She crossed her arms. "At what cost? At what cost?" I couldn't believe it. My dad avoided looking at me. Aunts whispered behind their palms. It felt like I was a villain in a story I didn't write. That night, I drove home in silence, staring at my trembling hands. I saved her life. And somehow, I was the enemy. And that was the night I decided something. If they wanted a villain, I would become their justice. A week passed before Emma spoke to me. And when she finally called, her voice was flat, fragile, exhausted. "Amanda, the pathology came back." I held my breath. "It was benign," she whispered. "No cancer." Relief washed over me so hard I almost slid to the floor. But then she added, "I wish you'd just let me believe in her a little longer." Her words gutted me. I cried for hours after she hung up. And that was when something hardened inside me. Because this wasn't Emma's fault. This wasn't her delusion. This wasn't some naive mistake. Someone lied to her. Someone planted false hope. Someone almost killed her. And I wouldn't let that stand. I drove to Honey Bump Imaging that afternoon. The door was locked. Lights off. Sign flipped to closed, temporary maintenance. I peered through the glass and saw a woman inside, the owner, Marla. Mid-40s. Overprocessed hair. A fake smile she probably practiced in the mirror. I knocked once. She hesitated, then opened the door an inch. "We're closed." "I know who you are," I said. "I'm a radiologist. My sister got a scan here." Her smile froze. "We only provide keepsake imaging." "You gave her a fake pregnancy confirmation." Her expression didn't change, which terrified me more than if she'd screamed. "Ma'am," she said, "I'm sure you're confused." Confused? No. I'd spent my entire adult life reading images. I wasn't confused. I was furious. I know about the pre-recorded heartbeat videos, I said. And the reused ultrasound clips. And the non-diagnostic machines you use to convince women they're pregnant. Her eye twitched. Then she stepped back and shut the door in my face. And something inside me snapped. No more passive silence. No more walking on eggshells. No more protecting people who didn't protect me. If no one else would fight for Emma, I would. If you've dealt with someone who twisted the truth and made you the villain, comment, I understand. Trust me, someone needs to hear your story too. Revenge doesn't always come in flames. Sometimes it comes in paperwork. I started with research, deep research. Complaints. Forums. Local Facebook mom groups. Yelp reviews. Better Business Bureau filings. And what I found made my skin crawl. Women describing false pregnancies. Heartbeat videos that didn't match the screen. Miscarriages they didn't know happened. Ultrasounds that looked identical to another woman's. And one review that said, I was told I was 6 weeks pregnant. I wasn't. I had an ectopic pregnancy and barely survived. Emma had almost been one of them. I contacted every reviewer I could. I asked for dates, receipts, photos, experiences. But I didn't stop there. I filed a formal complaint with the Colorado Medical Board. Then with the Attorney General's office. Then with the county health inspector. Finally, I connected with a journalist I trusted, someone who had reported on predatory medical businesses before. When she heard Emma's story, she whispered, Amanda, this might be bigger than you think. And she was right. Because within a week, she uncovered the truth. Honey bump imaging was not just negligent. It was entirely unlicensed. Not regulated. Not inspected. Not certified. And the owner, Marla? She had a criminal history in 2 other states. Fraud. Identity theft. Forging medical credentials. My hands shook as I read the journalist's findings. This woman didn't just lie to Emma. She had built a business on deception. And the more I uncovered, the clearer my revenge became. I wasn't just going to expose her. I was going to shut her down. The journalist's article was scheduled to publish on Monday morning. Coincidentally, or maybe inevitably, that was the same day my parents decided to host a family meeting about everything that had happened. They wanted to talk things out. What they really meant was, Amanda, apologize to your sister. I stood in my parents' living room, surrounded by relatives who had treated me like a monster at the gender reveal. My mom started. We all know emotions were high. But Emma deserves an apology. Emma sat on the couch, pale and recovering, her eyes red from crying. I swallowed. Then, calmly, I said, I'm not apologizing for saving her life. My mother frowned. Amanda. But I raised one hand. And if you want the truth, the full truth, it's about to come out. They looked confused. Right on cue, Emma's phone buzzed. Then Ethan's. Then my dad's. Notifications lit up the room. Local ultrasound studio under investigation for fraud and endangering patients, the headline read. My mom gasped. Oh my God, that's the place, Emma. Emma's eyes widened as she scrolled. Her breath caught. Amanda, it says dozens of women were misdiagnosed. Ethan murmured, "They used fake heartbeat videos." My dad whispered, "This is unbelievable." Emma kept scrolling. Then she froze. Because halfway down the article was her story. Anonymous, but unmistakably her. My sister slowly lifted her head and looked at me as if she were seeing me for the first time. "You did this?" she whispered. I nodded. I did. The room was silent. Utterly silent. Not angry. Not judgmental. Just stunned. No one had expected quiet, calm Amanda to burn down a fraudulent business. No one expected the truth to hit this hard. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel like the villain. I felt like the survivor of a war I never wanted to fight. If you're still with me at this point, thank you. Hit subscribe so more people hear stories that remind them they're not crazy for wanting justice. A month later, I was asked to testify. The state had enough evidence to pursue charges. Fraud. Practicing medicine without a license. Endangering patients. When Marla walked into the courtroom, she didn't smile anymore. She glared at me. Like I had destroyed her. But she had destroyed herself. I told the truth. Every detail. Every fact. Every risk she had put Emma in. Other women came forward too, women who had lost pregnancies, lost hope, lost months of proper medical care because of her lies. And when the verdict came down, guilty. On all counts. Marla slumped in her seat as the judge read the sentencing. The studio closed permanently. Victims received restitution. New regulations were put in place for non-diagnostic clinics statewide. It was justice, not revenge, but it tasted like both. When I walked out of the courthouse, Emma was waiting. Her eyes were softer. Her shoulders less tense. She whispered, "Amanda. I'm sorry." I nodded. And for the first time in a long time, we hugged without anything sharp between us. Emma spent months in therapy afterward. She grieved a baby who never existed. She grieved the hope she had held so close. She grieved the lies she had trusted. But she also began to live again. And slowly, she healed. Not perfectly. Not instantly. But honestly. Ethan stayed by her side every step, loving her fiercely through every breakdown, every fear, every night she woke up crying. My parents apologized eventually, quietly, awkwardly, realizing the weight of what they had done and said. Forgiveness came, but trust took time. And that was okay. Healing isn't supposed to be loud. Sometimes it's just choosing to keep going. 8 months later, Emma and Ethan adopted a baby girl. Her name was Sophie. The first time I held her, something in my chest cracked open. Emma watched me with tears in her eyes. She whispered, "You saved my life so I could meet hers." I looked at her, at Sophie, at the pieces of our family slowly stitching themselves back together. And in that moment, I realized something. The truth didn't break us. The lie almost did. If there's one thing I learned, it's this. Sometimes the truth feels cruel. But lies steal futures. You can't protect someone by letting them walk toward danger. You can only love them enough to walk into the fire with them. Emma forgave me eventually. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it saved her life. And if you're facing a moment where honesty feels like betrayal, choose honesty. You might save someone's tomorrow. And before you go, if this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Someone out there might need the truth you're ready to tell.